Greetings, Patrick here, 8 Questions With, and welcome to Thursday, the last show of the week. And so glad you guys are here. We've had a very, very fun week this week. It's been really entertaining. We kicked it off on Sunday with the wonderful War of Hallmark. We covered Love Locks. That thing has almost 500 views. 500 views for our deep dive into, into a Hallmark movie. I'm gonna have to give all the credit to Eric for this, because I think he's been going behind and telling everybody that he's been doing this, and people want to come out and see what he has to say. It is unusual. It is unusual. Um, our first our first one went up as well, and I thought it stalled out about 125 or so. But last I looked, we're getting close to 150. So traffic has been going from the second one to the first one. So thank you so much for that. Of course, we had a great week of 8 Questions With. Um, Boy, those who were here yesterday for yesterday's show, I gotta say that was one of the best shows. I really mean that. I had so much fun talking to Sophie May. What an incredible talent, too, right? Um, it seems that YouTube seems to have a problem though with us using the word blood because that interview has hit the wall as far as view counts go. They're not giving us any love at all, none. But I'm not changing it. I'm not changing it at all. It did really well yesterday, and we had a lot of people in. It should be much more than what it is, but because the algorithm doesn't like the violence, so to speak. Yeah, right, YouTube, right? Um, so we saw our view count hit a wall, and it just won't give us anything else. But I'm still going to keep promoting it, and I encourage you guys to go and check it out for sure. Check it out for sure. Um, let's see. Today we have some podcasters on. That's right. We have Glenn and Jess from the new podcast, the Streaming Scream, and they have a unique twist on their podcast, which we will be talking about. I've caught one episode of theirs. It was a A24 versus ISC battle, and so I was drawn to that like a shark to blood, right? I was right there. Oh, really? Let's go see how this worked out. And um, it was maybe not quite what I thought it was going to be. You know, but it's their opinion, and I know already you guys are already looking at me shaking their head because you already know who won. Yeah, well, that's because me and the cheetah weren't in there. We'll see if they invite me and the cheetah to come over there and bring a movie and talk about it. We'll get it done. We'll get it done. But I don't know if I would bring an ISC movie to the party though, because right now I'm super high on the coffee table, and I might bring that instead. Because I know that the new ISC movie is coming out this weekend. In a Violent Nature has got everybody buzzing. Everybody buzzing about the kill of the year is in the movie and whatnot. I can only tell them that you're only saying that because you have not seen the coffee table. Um, because once you do, there's no doubt in my mind that you're gonna sit there and go like, okay, so that really is messed up. And two, that's really, really messed up. And three, why the hell didn't you tell me about this sooner? Well, we're telling you about it now. Um, so I want you to go ahead and check that out. Hey, Anthony, how are you? Anthony is stuck in 1996. That's right. Groundhog Day Anthony is here. He's stuck like Bill Murray was when he was checking out Puxatawny Bill. Anthony is now stuck in 1996. So I think Anthony has hit writer's block, is what I think has happened to Anthony. He is writing, he doesn't know how to get out of 1996. So we all need to help Anthony out by sitting there going 1997. So Let's hope that Anthony can get out of there. Personally, maybe he got trapped in the horror corner. I don't know. That's a possibility too. Um, so yeah, this week has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Sophie was here. We talked to Jude Rollins and Rebecca Harrelson. Absolutely wonderful people. They got their movie Dream Time is up. Their other movie Isolation just got released. Sensational people, great filmmakers. Highly recommended. Um, and then we're ending it today with Jess and Glenn. I mean, I'm really pleased in the way we ended the month. That's for sure. Now I've been busting my hump for June because June has been a hell of a month trying to book. I have so many open holes in June. It's not even funny. But we filled a couple up today. We filled a couple up today for next week, and I think they're going to be interesting. I'm, on the surface, yeah, but you know what? But you know how we work here. We mine. We're gold miners. We find gold, and I think we've done this for next week. I really do. Um, First, we're going to kick off with Angela Williams, the owner of Morbid Heart Design. So we're going to get right back into the art world. We're going to have Angela back on for the third time, and I'm super happy about that because Angela's one of the sweetest people we know. A lot of the one of the nicest people. I'm really excited to have her back. And then on Wednesday, we have a filmmaker, Samuel Shoemaker, will be here with us. Let's see, is it Shoemaker? No, yeah, Shoemaker. Schumacher. Samuel Schumacher will be here with us, and he has a new film called Jason in Indianapolis. And instead of calling his film a fan film, he's called it a tribute to Friday the 13th. And he put himself together quite a little cast for himself. Um, as he's got Beatrice Boppa will be there. CJ Graham is in this movie. Mel Heflin's in this movie, and a former guest of the show, Heather Harlow, is in this movie. So that's pretty good pedigree, if you ask me. And so he will be here. Nora, hi Nora. Wow, that's my girl Nora right there. Hopefully you're doing well. Have you won any money off your tickets? Have you won any big money off your lottery ticket? I hope so. Nora's one of the nicest people. She's very supportive, and I'm always glad to see her. I don't see her nearly enough coming over here, so I'm super psyched to have her come in tonight. I hope that you'll stick around for this one, Nora. We are going to be introducing a pair of podcasters. Best friends Glenn and Jess will be here in about 10 minutes or so. And from the podcast, uh, uh, Streaming Scream. See, Nora says she did win a little, and it's just for fun. Yeah, of course, of course. Um, yeah, you know what? I mean, you go out there, you can get a ticket, right? You can get a ticket for like $5 or something like that. You can get one ticket, or you can get like five $1 tickets or what have you, and you can make a video out of it. That's what's really neat about the lottery tickets is that you could invest in a minimum of money, and then everybody wants to come over and see if you won. And if you just limit yourself to one or two tickets, and then you can do it and have and get great entertainment out of it. I think it's cool. And you're always sitting there. You're always rooting for the. Always rooting for Nora, or in our case too, not only Nora, but we also get to interact with Pete, who also does a scratch off ticket channel. Uh, yes, yeah, it can really slip away from people too. Um, it's a real it's gambling, legalized gambling in this country. Wow, it is not I don't know. I see so many people are just wiped out by it. Now we're starting to see the college football players get wiped out. We saw what happened with Shutani Otani, his assistant. Not only did he get in for a couple of lottery tickets, but he stole $16 million from his coworker. Um, I hope that is the case. There's part of me in the back of my head says that Otani, wasn't nearly as innocent as far as knowing what's going on as you would think. I mean, how do you not have protections in place to like someone move $16 million out of your account? Your advisors and your banks are not ringing your, hey, what's going on? I'm not really so sure about that. I think there's more to it that'll be played out later on. But and there's another baseball player that got hooked into it. Now Major League Baseball's investigating him. Um, uh, Everything is legalized now. Um, ESPN has thrown in both their shoes and their feet and their hands into legalized gambling. Before you go over there, you could go to ESPN and see who's playing. Like the Yankees are playing the Mets, but now they have Yankees and Mets, and then they have the odds down below for you gamblers out there. Um, and of course, we see the injury lists are not for, to keep track of players who are hurt. Injuries lists are there to help gamblers decide what to gamble. That's what that's there for. If their favorite quarterback's not going to play, they're going to play differently. That was pretty much forced in by gamblers. They wanted to know, because a lot of football teams, what they would do, they didn't want to make their injury list public. Hell no. If my star quarterback's hurt, I don't want you to know that until literally the first snap of the game when you don't see him in behind, under center. But gamblers got raised such a hullabaloo about it that the NFL and other pro sports were forced to put, make a injury list, and they list, every time someone got a cold, the gamblers were notified so they could adjust their gambling. Um, and the stuff that they gamble on. Oh, talk about a nightmare. So I'm with Nora and Pete. They're very responsible. I like watching their channels for that. They do one ticket. That's all they do. Is they do one ticket. They have fun with it. Everybody gets to talk. Everybody gets to say hi. Everybody gets to go Nora, go, and go Pete, go, and that's it. And that's it. Once it's over with, it's over with. So I enjoy it, and I'm glad Nora came in to say hi. All right, so back to Steve, back to Samuel. Samuel's doing his movie. Um, Jason in Indianapolis, a Friday the 13th tribute. So instead of calling it a fan film, they're calling it a tribute to Friday the 13th. And like I said before, they have some star power to it. So very exciting to see that. I hope it turns out well. I'm looking forward to it. I've seen one fan film, Friday the 13th fan film. I've seen one, absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was badass as hell. Um, on next Thursday, a week from today, we will be welcoming in actress and producer Sherry Severs will be here. Or I think Severs. Will be here at 8 o'clock, and she's another one of those actresses that are just getting started. And you know how much I love talking to them. I do. I really do. She's got some credits out there. She's got some good parts coming up. I don't know if we'll be able to talk about it, so to speak, because I don't think the NDAs have been signed. But we can still talk about her career. We can still talk about different movies. She looks to be very entertaining, and I'm glad to have her on the show. She's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see. Yes. Uh, Thank you so much, Nora. I'm glad you're here. Hi, Betty. How are you? How are you? Uh, I saw the nice words you left for Frog. That was very kind of you. And truth. Um, so we will be doing 4 shows next week, and we have one next Friday on the 7th of June, and we will be talking with actress Jenna Dulot will be here with us on at 9 p.m. 9 p.m. I believe that's going to be 9 p.m. I think I'll have to double check. Um, yes, and she is a fine actress based in Los Angeles, and I first ran across her in a movie called Sweet Killing Machines, which you've probably heard on the channel before, as we've interviewed two of the other cast members of the show, or cast members of the show, plus the writer director. And so we got Jenna coming in next Friday on June 7th, and that will be a really fun show as well. Um, yeah. Oh, we got our two movies for Sundays too. So on June 23rd, I believe it'll be on Eric's channel. I do believe Eric will be hosting. We're going to be watching Big Sky River at 4 p.m. Big Sky River. That's going to be the Hallmark movie of the month. And then on the 30th, we have the ISC Midnight Show, and Ben has picked, and I'm not surprised, When Evil Lurks. Of course he did, and I'm very happy for that. I can't wait for it. I knew Ben would come through for that. I was just a matter of time. There's two movies I was waiting for one of us to pick. I was waiting for one of us to pick Don't Speak, and then the other one is or Evil When Evil Speaks, or and What Evil Lurks. Um, I I knew one of us would pick that out. I knew it wasn't going to be me though, because I already got the movie I'm picking out next month. I already got the movie. I'm sticking with it. I can't wait to bring it, and I can't wait to hear you guys hear us talk about it. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. All right, so I put out a community tab. I put out a community tab for us. Um, Let me make sure that my guests aren't lost. And they are coming out right now. So, so Jess and Glenn will be here in 1 minute or two, and we will get this party started. Um, yeah, I can't wait for this. So, like I said, a brand new podcast show have a lot of promise. I tell you, I already hooked on the first episode. So the doorbell has rang. They're here. You're here. Let's get this party started.
Turning it up.
Ta-da!
Oh, there we go.
There we are. Oh no.
Okay, I think I can make this a little smaller for us. Like it's supposed to be.
We can squish.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, I had put so much effort into making sure that we could both fit on the camera on the one screen that I forgot to even think about the fact that we'd be doing a split screen.
No problem, no problem. And you're here under the guise of the guardian angel, so that's good. That's good. And because we're going to be talking about that episode that I watched. That's why I brought the angel into play here, because that don't talk to me, and with Evil Lurks battle. Yeah, we have to talk about that. And or When Evil Lurks. So that's the first episode I heard of you guys, and I was really impressed. I really thought that was a lot of fun. I didn't think the right movie actually won, but but I enjoyed it anyway.
I don't know if we're putting them head to head, so to say. The first few episodes, I think we were trying to figure out like whether we want to do a rating system or something like that. And I think we've settled on after discussing them, we're just going to say who we would recommend them to and who would probably not be the audience.
Yeah, that's one good way to doing it, but I mean, if you're gonna do horror though, there are certain people who maybe not I'm a more of a supernatural guy more than I'm a slasher. I like supernatural horror much more than slasher films. Slashers are okay, but they tend to really just, I don't know, they sort of like you just sitting there waiting for the last person. Where supernatural horror, you don't really know all the way to the end. It's you have to stick to the end to really find out to what's going to happen or if anything happens. And I like that a lot. I like the mystery of a supernatural horror more than a slasher.
Sure.
But
Yeah, I think for me, my favorite my favorite horror movies tend to revolve around witches, and I don't know why that is, except for my strange obsession with witches.
which
So
is probably, I can understand that because my favorite A24 film, my well, as far as horror film goes, my favorite A24 film is a drama, but my favorite A24 horror film is The Witch.
Yeah, it's great.
yeah,
I love The Witch,
absolutely.
but I love it for all the wrong reasons. It's not because of the how scare factor or the witchcraft factor or being shot in black and white or the missing kids. There's only one thing for me that I love about that movie so much, and that is Black Phillip. Black Phillip.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
King of all.
I don't know how anybody cannot watch. I mean, because when I saw Black Phillip, they showed him prancing around, and I'm sure it was, I'm sure Robert Eggers was going like, "That's gonna scare people, seeing a crazy ass
Yeah.
goat running around." But when your goat is running around like a cat,
Yeah,
you're not being scared much. You're because I started laughing.
yeah. He
I
was a
did.
menace on set too.
Was he?
Yeah, the main actor actually got
Did
the
they?
main I don't know his name. The main actor though he got actually rammed with his horns, and he had to get like medical for
Oh,
it.
well, that's
Okay,
what
we don't need
happens.
to know their names right now.
I'm like, I don't know
That's,
that
that's,
name.
that's sort of like when you go ahead and reach down and try to rub a cat's stomach. You're gonna come
Yeah,
out. You're gonna come out with a stump. So I can understand that, but he just the way he run around and acting, I'm just sitting going like, yeah, you're not scary to me. You're actually super lovable.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure Robert Eggers is going like, that's not what I'm looking for here.
Right.
But
Um,
he's just so dapper and regal and beautiful.
Zach says
And
that
like the
Black
song
Phillip
says,
was attacking people and being disruptive,
Yeah.
living up to his character. So not only is Black Phillip run around acting like a cat, but now we find out that he's a method actor as well.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't think we heard what your favorite type of horror is.
I don't know. I like really messed up stuff. So I don't know if that's like a genre, subgenre, just like stuff that's really messed up.
yeah. I'm so. This is not scripted, boys and girls. This is just all as it is. This is all just as it going. But I'm glad you mentioned this, Jeff. There is a movie I can recommend to you. It's from
Okay.
Cinephobia Releasing,
Mhm.
and it's called The Coffee Table. And I really
Okay.
highly recommend that you watch that. Um, of course, I did warn you. It's a little. It's pretty out there. But you'll come thank me afterwards, going like,
All right.
thanks for making me lose sleep. And I'll say you're welcome.
Okay, I'll add it to my list.
I'm putting it in our list right now. We will consider that a request. Yeah, this is the funny thing is like Jessica's got a bit of a stronger stomach than I do. Or at least it has been that way in the past. I don't know. My taste seems to be getting darker, which I don't know about, man.
I'll be honest
was
with
it
you.
called?
Coffee table.
The Coffee Table. I'll be honest with you, Glenn. I've seen a ton of movies, and it's very hard for me to, not that I'm desensitized because I'm not, but it takes a movie a lot to get me moving. Like in out of the room. And The Coffee Table did that to me twice. I'm just
All
like,
right.
but it's also, and it's weird to saying this, but it's also the best film of the year you'll see.
All right.
No,
I
I'm
promise
interested.
Yeah.
I promise you. You see that when you see it, it'll be the best horror movie you'll see this year.
All
I can
right.
promise you. And I know I'm looking for In a Violent Nature. People have been talking about that. I'm so excited people are talking about that movie because it is another ISC movie. So I'm super happy that people are talking about it. But I can hit, they're talking about how it's the kill of the year, and I'm going like, hold my coffee, on the table, while you see that. So I want to say hi to everybody coming in the chat. Zach Attack Reviews is here. Our friend Betty J Gathers is here. TJ is here. What's going on, TJ? Joe is here. Hey, Joe from the Indie Escape Network. Thank you for coming in, my friend. And of course, my partner in crime, aka the Bat, Al Lucard is here. That's right. That's right. So talk to us
Yes.
about talk to us a little bit about how you met each other, because you guys are best friends. And so how do we get together and how do we bond over horror films?
let's leave out the obvious censor details. We basically like met on LiveJournal,
Yeah.
and we were both trying to go to the same nightclub that night, and
Neither of us went.
we really couldn't. So we were like, well, at least we know that we like some of the same stuff and we live in the same basic area. Let's just hang out. So I grabbed a bottle of absinthe and we met at a park. And I don't know why I grabbed a bottle of absinthe, but we basically just went on a bender together.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite an alcohol to go on a bender with.
Yeah. It was wild.
It wasn't a great idea.
No, it was not. And then we, our friendship, our friendship didn't get like really close right away. What ended up happening was, I think like 2 years later, we became we became roommates, and we just kind of grew really close, and we ended up living together for like 5 years as roommates. And yeah, that's basically it. I know it was also a little weird when we first moved in together, because there was that one clown dude.
Yeah.
And all that. And then I don't this seems like so long ago now. And then there was one night where we were at like a rave, and one of the DJs was like, hey, I want you to yell if you're here with your best friend. And we both started yelling, and then we were like, hey.
Nice. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So now, how long ago was this rave? You say 5 years ago or so?
Oh God, no! It was 2012.
It was before Burning Man, so
it was before Burning.
We were still in Dublin.
We were still living in Dublin, so yeah, that would have been 2012, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because we became roommates in mid 2011 when I got that job. Yeah, it was like a mad week, us becoming roommates. We had this situation where she needed a roommate desperately, or she was gonna sort of lose her apartment. And I at the time did not have a car, and if I was going to accept one of two jobs that had been offered to me, I needed to move to someplace with that's close to like our local commuter train, BART. For those of you in the Bay Area, BART, baby.
BART, that's right.
And then
I'm a Caltrain guy myself.
Yeah. And it ended up in this like really funny situation where at the very like 2 days before she needed somebody to move in, my brother and I had moved back in with my mom after my dad had passed away, and we're like 2 days beforehand, I'm pinging this one company and being like, hey, would you please just hire me and like tell me that right now? Because you guys have been keeping me on the hook for a while and I need to know where I'm living at the end of this week. And they were like, oh yeah, sure, you can start, as soon as you want. And then I go out and I tell my mom, like, hey, I got this new job. I'm going to be, moving out day after tomorrow. It was a very stressful affair.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Zach wants to know, says you guys lived with a clown. How was that? How was that?
We didn't technically live with the clown. I had a friend that was a fetish clown, and he was living, like, staying on my couch for a while. It was, I don't know, it was chaotic.
Yeah. Well, he was supposed to be gone before I moved in.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of wasn't.
Yeah, those situations where you let someone stay on your couch and then they kind of just don't leave when they're supposed to.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if he was working, he still stays. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the way it is like, hey, if you're gonna stay here and you're working, then you can contribute. Yeah. But that was 2012, right? So
Yeah.
are you guys both still based in the Bay Area?
Yeah. We only live a few miles from each other, which was kind of halfway by design, So we're basically just both in the East Bay. All of our friends are here. Both of our families are here. And yeah, it's cool. We live not quite within walking distance anymore, but within biking distance. So we get together fairly often, and both of our spouses are usually with us, and we've kind of formed this weird little family together.
Sure. That's great. I mean, I think it's great. You're telling me how you and your best friend got together for a podcast, and there are people that very much can be best friends, outside of the marriage, as far as that goes, and be strictly platonic. So it's not a thing. It's just hey, my best friend happens to be a girl, or a guy. It happens. And you guys have a lot in common, gone through a lot of things. And and if anything, your spouses should be sitting there saying, thank you for having such a stable best friend, because you kept this person, on their 2 feet. And and that gave me time to meet them and fall in love with them. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I was lucky when I first met my wife, and I was like, so just so you know, my best friend is a woman, and we are like ridiculously close. And I was, every girl that I was dating around that time, I would tell that to, and they'd get this like, I don't know about this. But the woman who I eventually married was like, that's great. That means you respect women.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, cool.
Exactly.
Cool. Glad.
Exactly. Now, are your spouses? Are you also? Zach asked another question here. What's a bad movie you saw recently that had the potential to be great?
Oh.
Wow,
Oh God, there's one that Okay, so the first one that I'm going to say, and I'm going to have a lot of people disagree with me, because I know a lot of people really love this movie. Dr. Sleep.
Oh, I didn't see it.
I
still want to see it.
so a lot of people love it, and I understand why they love it. But and for me, the first half was very, very good. I really like Rose the Hat as a villain. Her gang's whole deal with eating the souls of children and all that, wonderful. But then they do this thing where they go back to the Overlook Hotel, and this had the potential to be really cool, but instead they just kind of did the Overlook's greatest hits, and it was all the same scares as Kubrick's Shining, which to me, a lot of that stuff was so dependent on the situation of the family and so dependent on the actors. So, for example, if you were to read in a book or in a script, the elevator opens and a bunch of blood pours out, that's dumb as hell. Like, there's no reason that should be scary, right? That's very silly. But Shelley Duvall makes it terrifying, you know, and the situation the family is in makes it terrifying. It's spoilers, sorry folks. It is a lot less scary when, like, basically a soul-sucking vampire sees it and smirks at it. You know, not doesn't quite have the same impact. So I would have liked for them to have gone a different direction at the Overlook and done something that would scare Rose the Hat.
Yeah.
What about you?
I just watched There's Something Wrong with the Children, which I thought started off really good, and the kids are really creepy in it. But I don't think they knew like where to go with it. I was expecting it to be more like Who Could Kill a Child. Do you not know these movies?
Oh God, no! So now that you say, "Do you not know these movies?" I do know Who Can Kill a Child.
There's a remake
right.
that I haven't seen.
But in the context of the way you were saying it, I was interpreting it as like you were waiting for them to kill a child, which reminded me of the conversation that we were having about Terrifier in next week's episode.
Yeah.
Did not mean to actually work that into a plug, but it felt fitting.
But yeah, so it was There's Something Wrong with the Children. It just didn't seem like they knew where for it to go, but it had potential.
Now, what about you, Patrick? What's a bad movie you've seen recently that should have been better?
I think the bad movie that I've seen recently that could have been really outstanding was probably that's a really good question. I'll tell you what movie I really liked, but the ending sort of just like floated off to the end. I mean, it was really intense, and then the last 5-10 minutes of it, it just like it didn't know its way, and that was The Ninth Gate. I really enjoyed The Ninth Gate a lot. I really do. I really liked it a lot, but it just for like the last 5 minutes or so, it just petered out. It didn't go out with a bang or a whimper. It just, he didn't explain what the main character, what he was going there for, how he got there, or none of that. It's just like he went there, he saw a page of a book, and next thing you know, we see him go back to where he was and go through the gate, and it's just like, what was that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just left me, because up to that point, the movie had been really intense. But after that, it just petered off, and I was like, man, that's disappointing. But I mean, everything up to then had been really good.
I think horror movies are some of the hardest movies to end, because usually an explanation or whatever you're going to do isn't going to be as great as the lead up to it.
Yeah, it's hard to work in a genre where explanations only serve to make things less scary and then explain things in a satisfying way at the end. Also, there's always that balance of like, do you want this character to die? Depending on the movie. Like if you're watching one of those movies where it's all about the kills, eventually they're going to beat the slasher, and that's inevitably disappointing, or the monster or whatever, or they get chopped up, and it's fun and satisfying. The Event Horizon ending.
I mean, we're talking about Stephen King, and that's been his problem for several years now. Is that and even in his early career, he had a hard time ending a book. I mean, he could write he could write a beginning and he could write a middle, but when it came down to writing the end, he struggles with that. He really does. Every only when it was only when they allowed him to release the stand, the director's cut, so to speak, that he actually got to do a proper ending. But you look at it, that one, you look at most anything he writes, and it's just like, The Mist was another one. The Mist was like, what the hell is that? The Long Walk, which is one of my three favorite Stephen King books. I just was reading it, and I'm going all the way up there, and then the ending comes, and I'm going like, what the hell is that? Because
Yeah.
it was so anticlimactic. It was just like, that's it? That's all you got?
Did you ever read The Dark Tower?
Oh, don't even get me going on that.
I,
Those are the seven worst books that he's written by far.
I mean,
That had if I didn't know better, I think that he would have been drunk writing all stuff, writing them all. That and
well, he was certainly coked up for a few of them.
Yeah.
But I liked most of them, but I did find, just because you were saying like he can't end anything, I love the fact that near the end of the seventh book, there's a part where he just flat out says, "Hey, stop reading now. You're not gonna like this ending. Just stop. Stop before you're mad at me." And then of course nobody stops. And then we're all like, no, I should have stopped when we said trash.
Reading that last book and reading the ending of that, it's just like, that's all you. I mean, I know a lot of people, they still claim to like Stephen King. They still, a lot of people get into his books or whatnot. But I think most of the old hardcore fans that helped establish him to become a best-selling author, I think a lot of those fans have given up on him a long time ago. And that's one of the reasons why I think that's why Doctor Sleep happened the way it did. Doctor Sleep, he wrote that as a direct sequel to The Shining after years of hating The Shining, and with good reason, because I hate that movie too. But he denounced it, he hated it, and then finally, all those old fans that supported him, and during that, they all left. They all left to either read something else or what have you. And he wrote that to connect with the new fans. Like, oh, look, I'm still relevant. I'm still hip. I'm still Stephen King. And then he force connected, to the story. The movie Shining to Doctor Sleep. Not the original Shining, but the movie. There's the direct sequel's not from the Shining book, it's from the movie The Shining. And that's why I didn't know. But let's see. Zach is here with more. Let's see. Most movies have trouble endings. Yep. The last horror movie I saw with a strong ending was Talk to Me.
I think it has a perfect ending.
Great ending. I can't remember the last time I walked out of a horror movie and was like, man, they stuck sorry, just gonna start knocking things around. Man, they stuck that ending so well.
Yeah, it was perfect.
They nailed that.
Yeah, it is very satisfying when a horror movie does that, when it does land a perfect ending, and not necessarily where everybody goes home safely. It's okay to sit there and like, okay, well, you didn't make it out, or you wake up and you find yourself in a different dimension or something like that. I think for me, a perfect movie that ended the second ending really well, that leaves you haunted and talking about, is a movie like, say, The Beyond. The Beyond has like one of the best last 5 minutes of any horror movie of all time. That ending is just so gripping and so like terrifying, but it's such a perfect ending. There's really nothing wrong with it.
I mean, going back to like what we were talking about earlier about The Witch, I love the ending to that movie so much. Like once everybody, spoilers, once everybody is dead except for the main girl, and she's like, you know what? Fuck these people. I'm gonna go join the coven. I'm gonna be a witch. Yeah.
I agree, and it absolutely felt right. It wasn't one of those things where it's like, it wasn't one of those ones where it's like, oh, she lost, oh, they lost. It felt right. You know, as much as joining a coven can feel, it felt absolutely right. It's like she was she that's where she was supposed to be, and so there she was.
She was
Uh,
driven to it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
good for her,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
She gets to live deliciously.
Yeah, that's what we call the good for her ending.
that's right.
I used to.
We have a lot of fun with that line here. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah,
Um,
that's great.
so
I used to torment my
we're
wife
talking
with
about
that.
we're talking about movies that you know, like with the endings or whatnot. You know, like, you know, trying to get a good ending. You know, versus one that could have been great but just petered out. But let me ask you a question here. What's one movie that had you just like, nope, that's it, I'm out of here?
I don't know.
I feel like there was one not too long ago that made me really mad. I mean, there is. I mean, It Chapter 2 was horrid trash. But I'm also. Oh no! You know what I'm going to go with? I'm going to go with like half of the Conjuring movies. The Nun, absolute, like just garbage. And I don't even know if I've seen The Nun 2 because I think I have. And I think they're just like mashed into one inextricable mound of shit in my brain. And same with the Curse of La Llorona, which I don't even understand why that's supposed to be tied in to the Conjuring movies.
No, oh, I thought that was Paranormal Activities tied into. There's two of them though.
Okay, so one of them ties into the Conjuring universe, and I could not figure out why. And it was awful, and just that whole series is so bizarrely hit or miss. Like there's one Annabelle movie that I really like, and it's not the first one. I don't remember which one it is because
Creation.
It might be Creation, or maybe it's Comes Home. I think it's the one with the girls in the basement. I don't know. I think it's Annabelle Comes Home, but then Annabelle Creation is just terrible, and The Conjuring. I think it was.
I will say I did like Conjuring too. I thought that the second one was very exciting. With the Enfield entity, I thought that was that was a good one.
I liked the first one a lot. Oh, related. I'll tell you another movie that could have been great, but was absolute garbage. Sinister 2.
Oh yeah, because the first one's really good. The first one, actually, that's a great one. I hate the ending of the first one. I like the movie, but the ending is terrible.
Oh god, what was the ending to that one?
Well, it's just all.
I mean, aside from the scare.
Yeah, well, the jump scare at the end. It's like you had this really good movie, but also it's like the whole thing with Bagul. Is just like, I'm like, really? This is what you decided to go with?
I'm sure it's a reference to something, but his name still sounds like a pastry.
No, yeah, they purposely made it so it wasn't referencing anything, so that they were trying to make it sound like it could be from any like old religion.
Well, it sounds like it's from a bakery.
Yeah, I don't. But the first half of that movie is like really effectively creepy.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of positive for that.
If you haven't seen it, you totally should. Like, ending aside, it's a really good movie. It's one of like 3 movies that I will say has a good jump scare in it.
With the lawnmower?
The lawnmower.
Yeah.
We got some someone who wants to toss in theirs. Gotham guy wants to throw in his movie into the hat. He thinks Halloween Ends.
I haven't seen it yet. I've heard so many things.
Okay. So I am again going to get some people being like, why do I want to listen to this guy's opinion on anything? So the first time I saw Halloween Ends, I thought it was awful. But it did stick with me. And I found myself thinking a lot about it over the next year. And in general, I have found that when that happens with movies, when I go back and watch them a second time, I will end up really liking them. And I actually did end up really liking Halloween Ends a second time. I know that focusing on a new character seems like a weird choice, and making Michael Myers a sad old man also seems like a weird choice, and making it like a sad a sad romance movie is again a weird choice. These are all weird choices, but if you're going to do a trilogy of movies that explore trauma and PTSD and the forms in which those come, you do have to, like, in order to do that honestly, you do have to take on things like generational trauma, which, Michael is passing, I hate to say passing the torch, but he's moving that trauma onto the next generation with Corey. And the town is different. Like the whole feel of the town is different because they've all, whether you believe the whole town should have been affected by it or not, the idea is that they're all dealing with this trauma, and things are not.
Well, the biggest problem, I haven't seen Halloween Ends yet, but I've seen the other two, is that the first Halloween, 2018 Halloween,
Yeah,
the whole point is that nobody gives a shit.
Right.
And then the second movie, they make it act like the whole town cares.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's a weird trilogy.
It's definitely it's a schizophrenic series, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The second one, I mean, the way they set it up with all the different Easter eggs, it set it up for just an absolutely incredible ending. It could have it could have been an absolute classic. But it's like everything that he did right in setting that up, he ignored completely in the third one. It was like, why are you wasting everybody's time? It's sort of like the other trilogy that reminds me of this is the Unbreakable trilogy. M. Night Shyamalan did the same thing. He did the same damn thing. He set up for Split. He set it up when everybody saw David Dunn sitting in the counter there. He set up potentially one of the greatest third endings for a superhero movie, and then he absolutely crapped on it. He just did not know how to write it. And I think that's where Halloween Ends.
I 100% agree with that. I do remember like watching Split and really enjoying it, and then being like, what's the big, trying not to think about what the big twist is going to be, but some Night Shyamalan, of course there's going to be one. Then when it turns out that it was like that it was an untold sequel to Unbreakable, I was like, holy shit, this is great. If they actually like do the Marvel thing with just these movies, just make one more and combine them, it'll be amazing. And it really was not. It was so disappointing. And then Shyamalan, man, disappointing.
Guy posted here. He says, Patrick, what's your feeling on found footage films? And if you like them, or do you have a favorite? And he says, oh, and tell Glenn I'm Frederick, the guy he met at Best Buy.
Hey,
that's awesome. There you go, man. You got yourself a fan there. That's awesome. Thank you for coming in, Frederick. That's really cool. And thanks for your support. And then our new friend Jen just walked in. Glad you are here, Jen, so much. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it more than you know. And so yeah, that is interesting. And I was thinking more about it. What really got me about it was how everything was all focused on Pennywise. And this is what I tell people too. It's like, man, everybody's talking about Pennywise, right? That's what everybody is being told to talk. But I can tell you this, when we saw the movie, when we came out, like me and my buddy, we came out like, 10, 15 people. We weren't talking about Pennywise. Not at all. That Pennywise was not scary at all. What was really scary, really disturbing about that movie was the dad.
Oh, right. Sure, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Without a doubt. I mean, that was just creep city. That was like you just felt like you just wanted to get home and take a shower.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
it defanged Pennywise to the utmost. I mean, Pennywise is just like a clown. He wasn't scary at all, not in the context of real world issue, as in, what's going on between Bev and her dad. It was just like, man, it was almost like Pennywise was comic relief compared to
Yeah,
the
yeah, actually, seriously.
I mean, it does make
Right.
you wonder if they hadn't gone so hard with the dad, would Pennywise have felt scarier?
Yeah,
But
I think they
Probably.
went too over the top.
It probably would have been a little bit more scarier, but the thing is though, it's like you didn't get the impression that it was, we're going to put emphasis on the dad. It was just he was him and the actor who did it and Sophia Lillis just for magic. I mean,
Yeah,
it felt absolutely real,
yeah,
and
yeah, I
it,
was
it was
honestly kind of surprised that aspect really made it into the movie. Um,
oh,
it's been a long time since I've read the book, but the chapters dealing with Beverly's dad really made me feel icky.
yeah,
Like they're
well, and
just
Stephen King's his idea of getting them out of that tunnel was really disgusting too. You know,
yeah.
yeah,
yeah. I mean, that's what happens when your co-writer is cocaine.
right.
Yes, he
Yeah,
defends
I
it.
mean, and nobody really talked about that aspect of the movie either. Everybody is comparing it to the first movie with Tim Curry. Tim Curry was a much more effective Pennywise,
Yeah, I
but
think
they,
Yeah,
so.
everybody was talking about that because none of the mainstream press was going to sit there and let's talk about the teenage kids or the preteen kids having an orgy. Let's not do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's like we're going to skip that. And it's like, well, if you read the book, which is seems like a lot of people don't do these days. It's like if you read the book and you see certain aspects of that movie, you know, um, uh, it's, let's see. Jen says, I feel dumb to only realize that the actor playing Pennywise is the same guy from Hemlock Grove. Skarsgård. Yeah, Skarsgård has
yeah,
been super busy.
Yeah,
John Wick
and he's
4, The Northman. He's going to be doing The
mhm,
Crow here in a minute. Yeah, he's everywhere. Yeah, he's huge, and he does a lot of horror movies too.
yeah,
He's done.
I'm looking forward to seeing all the fighting over the crow. I
Oh,
mean,
I
it's
can't.
already very much started.
You know what? Yeah, but you know what? Because it looks like John Wick 4 is what it looks like. It really does. It looks like John Wick on with a supernatural twist. It really does. It doesn't have, But then again, it's funny because me and my buddy Danny, we were talking about The Crow, and I happen to think that I like The Crow. I do. I'm a fan of The Crow, but I happen to think like Daredevil 2003 was a much better movie. So we talked about it.
mm,
We did basically what you guys do in your podcast, which we'll talk in a minute too. We each picked out a movie. He picked The Crow, and I picked I picked Daredevil 2003, and we
mm,
brought them together. I mean, not we don't. It's not which film was better, but this is why we liked it more. And so we
Yeah,
did that. And a lot of people. I mean, because I liked The Crow, but I hadn't seen it for a while, and then when I rewatched it, it just didn't age at all. It didn't age well. The effects
I
were, I
mean,
mean, it was
yeah.
smartly
They also had
directed.
to finish it with like the actor passing away, Brandon Lee passing away, and everything. So
but I'll say about the original Crow, and I've said this. I'm gonna like tie this into why I am actually sort of defending the new Crow. Um, I think the reason it doesn't age super well is because the Crow is so reliant on being cool, and we're not really. Yeah, the '90s were a long time ago. Nobody is wearing Eddie Vedder hair and leather pants anymore. Those days are over. So it doesn't. And I'm not 14 anymore. A movie that's basically a melodramatic music video isn't gonna get me as excited personally. But that's also why I think they're doing the right thing, from what I've seen with the new Crow, because again, Eddie Vedder hair and leather pants aren't cool anymore. Face tattoos and parkas are. And we shouldn't expect to hear Stone Temple Pilots. We should expect to hear like Billie Eilish. And, you know, that remake is not
or
made for
21
me.
pilots. Or 21 pilots.
Yeah. But bottom line is that remake isn't made for me. The original movie was made for me. The new one is made for kids today. And I hope that they find something as cool in it as we did when we were kids.
I just looking at the previews, and I had hope for that too. I hope they had gone more leaned into the more supernatural aspect of it, of the movie. But the previews of it just leaves you cold. It just it doesn't really feel. There's no what's missing from it from the previews that I've seen. Even though Danny Houston is a magnificent actor, and I would watch him read the paper on stage, but the movie itself just not have that heart to it, and it irradiates from the previews. It's just, and that's what people are reacting to. They're not reacting, like, yeah, there's some that are knee jerk. I'm not gonna like it, but you haven't seen it yet. You haven't seen any previews. You haven't seen anything. I mean, on paper, the cast is pretty good. With a Scar and Houston, I can go with that. I don't know who the girl is. I
Yeah, I
don't
don't
know,
know.
and that's a thankless task anyway, right? But I'm thinking to myself, okay, it has it's a good villain, and it has Scar. Yeah, he's let's see if he can bring that soulfulness that Brandon Lee does. Previews come out, and you're just sitting there going like, wow, that is not good. That is not good at all. And
Yeah,
there's
it
no
looks
heart
overdone
to it.
to me.
It does.
I don't think it looks good, but
but
I'll
I-
see it.
But I think entertainment today kind of is, and it's sort of that same thing. Like, I honestly don't expect to like it. I'll watch it. I don't expect to like it, but I hope that the people who are my age today, I hope the people who are the same age today as I was when I first saw it do.
They should have changed the name. It should have been a different iteration of The Crow, though,
Yeah.
because The Crow is the comic is such a personal story to the guy who wrote it.
Yeah.
And there are different iterations of The Crow, so it doesn't make sense because they're like, you can just already tell from the preview their entire story is different.
Yeah.
So why not just be a different iteration?
I think that would make sense. Yeah.
And the one, I mean, the first one is Jen wants to know. She's never seen The Crow. She grew up in the '90s, but I never saw it. The closest thing The Crow was, and that was actually that character Sting had was actually inspired by The Crow. His look was inspired by The Crow. So that's yeah. So that there you go about that. Yeah, Sting's persona. He says, should I watch the remake first and then the original, or the other way around? I fully recommend watching the first one. Um, while there's some things about it that didn't hold up well, that's not the fault of the cast nor the director. Alex Proyas directed a beautiful film. It just I think it was just I think the setting was just all dark all the time, and I think that
Yeah.
just it weighs in on it. It does. It's sort of like, you want to see the Crow in the daylight. You want to see him, like he's not just restricted to the night, because that's basically what you're telling us too. Not only are you restricting him, but you're taking away half his power, because what you're saying is like he can only exist at night, and that's not who the Crow was or what he could do. And by putting him in all raining all night, you took half of him away. I mean, and I think that hurt the story a little bit too. But Alex Proyas, I mean, I mean, he had a good run. He had The Crow, and then he bounced back with Dark City, another
Oh,
great
I love
movie.
Dark City.
Dark City was great. But before we move on from The Crow, I just do have to throw out a mention. Best goddamn soundtrack ever.
Yeah, it's great. It just encapsulates a time
Yeah.
so well.
And it's every song on it is perfect for its place both on the record and in the movie. The soundtrack by itself, even if you never watched the movie, check that out.
I definitely got to agree with you there, because we're talking about that with Daredevil too, and that's one thing that really popped Daredevil was the fact they had such a kick-ass soundtrack. I mean, that soundtrack, was not that's nobody's fool either. And another soundtrack that really bounced with the movie even came a little earlier than The Crow, and that was Spawn. That soundtrack's Spawn
I
is
just
absolutely, yeah, it's rocking.
I just got the Spawn soundtrack on vinyl like 2 weeks ago,
Really?
something like that. Yeah, I just listened to it for the first time last night, coincidentally. I mean, I'd heard it before, but my we bought a lot of records and we only have so much time to listen to them, so
Yeah,
it took a
Spawn
while to
soundtrack.
get to that.
It's an amazing soundtrack. It's one of my very favorites. I thought it was amazing. And The
Yeah,
Crow.
the 90s overall had just great soundtracks. Spawn, The Crow, obviously. Natural Born Killers, I think, was really good. Although some choices are a little questionable in hindsight. Lost Highway is also just a fantastic soundtrack, in my opinion.
Yeah, Dazed and Confused.
Dazed and
Old
Confused.
music, but-
Yeah. No, but it's so well done. Like there was such a focus on soundtracks on both soundtracks and scores in the 90s that I feel like has not necessarily been lost today, but maybe
scores are coming back.
I just mean like I think the
scores are
focus
coming
on them
back.
has shifted.
I think
Yeah.
I think scores are coming back, but in a way, it's like, why? It's not like we can go out there and get them. We have to stream. Like we can't go out there and buy the record anymore. A lot of people want to go out there and crank it up in the car. Let's do it. And it's like, now we really can't. We can't. We don't have that physical media aspect of like whenever you saw a kick-ass movie. A lot of times, if you could, while you had to wait for the movie to come to home media, you could go out right after watching the movie and buy the record because it generally came out before the movie as part of the promo. So you could have something of the movie that you'd like already in your hand. And it's just like, you can stream it, you can do that, put it in the cloud or whatnot, but it's still not the same as just, having it right there and, yeah. I want to talk about real quick. I want to talk about how you came up with your format. You explain your format. Let's say I'm just walking into the studio and I'm watching you get ready to do the podcast. How break it down? How does your podcast work from top to bottom?
Well, it usually starts off with me hitting record in the middle of us bullshitting because it's funnier that way. And then what we'll do is we'll talk about one of the movies we've selected, and if you go through like the episodes that we have so far, there's a little bit of variation in how they're all done because it was taking us a minute to figure out exactly how we wanted to do this. But the general format is we'll talk about the credits of a movie, director, actors, other crew and folk of note, and then we'll go through a recap of the movie. Some of them in not a lot of detail, some of them in a hell of a lot of detail.
And then I'll interrupt sometimes to talk about something of note or sometimes just a tangent.
Yeah. In general, just in general, I'll read a lot of it, and then Jess will stop me and we'll bullshit about it, and then afterwards we will talk about more of the qualities of the movies and what we liked and what we didn't like and who we would recommend them to, who we wouldn't, and then we'll tell you where you can watch them, which is sort of the premise that we probably should have started this answer with. Is the idea is instead of focusing on like new movies in the theaters, we focus on movies that are available for you to stream. Thus the name, Streaming Screams. So we'll tell you where you can watch things for free or with a subscription, where you can buy them and rent them and all that good stuff. and just sort of on the way, going through each movie, because Jess and I are really close friends, we'll just go off on all sorts of random nonsense. I think my favorites have been, I think, the foot fetish one, honestly. It's one of my favorites. There was something we were talking about. There was a lot of conversations that we had going on in Terrifier as well that I think were pretty fun, but I can't remember any of them off the top of my
One
head.
was about poop.
That's right.
Like working jobs where bathrooms are not pleasant.
Yeah, if you want to find out which one of us had to deal with the most poop in our retail days, check out the new episode coming out on Thursday.
Are you guys fan of Terrifier? Or are you guys fan of Art the Clown?
I am.
I like Art the Clown. I think the first movie's kind of boring. The second one is a bit better. A little too long, though.
I personally,
I can help you guys with the first one. So I'm I see David Howard Thornton. He's on, and he's today. I'm not sure if you ever read his thread. It's absolutely 100% entertaining. When he first came on Threads, and I'm sitting there, and I've seen him on guests on a couple of other podcasts, but I pinged him and I said, because I noticed one thing in the first Terrifier, I noticed that like Art the Clown, he seemed to like cats, and I asked him, I said, I just have a question for you. Does Art the Clown like cats? Is he a cat lover? And he goes, absolutely loves cats, because in the first movie, if you remember that scene, where he kills one woman, but there's cats all around him, and he doesn't touch a single one. He's like, yeah, I mean, and I saw that, it caught me, because most of the time in those movies, they always show a dog or a cat buying the farm, right? It's like, off camera, of course, but you hear him cry, and then you go like, okay. But this time, though, he's like looking at them, and they're coming around him. They have no fear of him, right? The cats don't fear Art. And I said, that's really unusual. So, so I said, I'm going to ask him that. And so when I saw him on Threads, I said, is Art a cat lover? He goes, absolutely. And I'm going like, all-time horror icon right there. Just give the man a Hall of Fame pass right there. And he also he came back and said, and Art loves dogs too.
Yeah.
Art's no clown. He knows his audience.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I love Art the character. I love the trajectory that those movies are going in. I personally feel like every movie David Howard Thornton, no, not David Howard Thornton,
because he's only been in the
director, Damien Leone. I feel like every movie that Damien Leone has done has been an increase in quality, and so I'm really excited not just to see where he goes with the rest of the Terrifier series, but where he goes in general, because it's fun watching somebody really figure out and perfect their craft in real time. And I just think that he has potential to be an excellent director at some point.
Yeah, you sort of hope that isn't, and this is interesting that you brought this up, because this has been a recent topic of mine, and I've been talking about this quite a bit. I'm really happy that Damien Leone has stuck to doing the Terrifier movies. The first one came out, did moderately well. The second one came out and crushed it. Now, we've all seen directors, and this is the two I've been using a lot. And of course, anybody else wants to, bring up a director as well. But a lot of directors like Josh Trank, they did one great movie, they did Chronicle. Everybody's like, Josh Trank, he's the next big thing. So he finally gets a shot at Hollywood. They give him the Fantastic Four.
I mean, they just cursed him from the start.
I know, those are always bad movies.
The sound that you hear,
I'm going to try it again.
I know.
The sound that you hear outside your window is Josh Trank's career crashing into the ground. Horrible. Felt really bad for him. saw it the second time. I saw a director named Keith Thomas. Keith Thomas came out and he put out a great movie called The Vigil, IFC
Mm.
Midnight. Loved that movie. We covered it on our IFC show. Great director. What happens? The studio comes over. They said, "Hey, we want you to remake Firestarter." The other sound, the sound that you're hearing on the other side of you, that's Thomas crashing into the ground. I feel really bad because it's like, a lot of times the directors want to me, it's like, you want to tell some of these directors, indie directors, it's like, it's not necessarily you need to jump in right away and jump and grab that brass ring. Personally, I would wait till you got 2 or 3 movies underneath your belt that have made money. Then think about what you're doing. And then go
Yeah.
do and quite honestly, I would also say that I don't want to go into an existing franchise. I don't want to do that. That's not how I got here. I got here based on an original story. So I
Yeah.
want,
Yeah.
turn around, somebody sit there and say, here, do remakes Firestarter. Why? Why do I have to follow somebody else's steps for my first movie for you? Why don't trust me with if you're gonna hire me, if you believe in me, thinking I could do a good job, then give me something one of the original projects that's sitting in there that you want to take to film. Let me do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest problems with sequels as a whole is that somebody else is always brought in who did not have the original writer and director's vision. And I think with all art, be it film, music, writing, whatever, the absolute most important thing that you need is vision and heart. And if you're coming in to sort of like try to scrape the scraps of somebody else's work into a cohesive quality piece, it's not always going to work out that well. We can't all get Terrifier 2s, because we keep getting other directors.
Yeah, you got Terrifier 2 that did really, really well. And again, it did really well. The pressure was on Damien Leone right there to, either one, bring the property to a studio, or two, we're going to give you a lot of money to do our movie now and push Terrifier 3 down the road. And Damien just said, I'm going to do my own thing because there's plenty of time for me to do what you want afterwards. So let me go ahead and see if I can bring art to close. And I see they will. I think I don't really see them going past 3. I think David wants to go ahead and do. He doesn't want to get typecast. He does not want to come from another Robert Englund or anybody else like that. So I do believe the third one will be the last one, unless they turn around and they throw him multi-million-dollar deal. Now, if he does that,
Well,
then I would tell him, hey, do 4. I know you hate that, but do 4, make that money, stack it away. That gives you the freedom to turn out, say, hey, I'm doing the 5th one. Nah, I'm good. You can do it that way, but I think after the 3rd one, I think he'll move on. I think he wants to be challenged. And the other movie that he did, that he got acclaim for was, The Nice One. And which was a live action version of the Grinch. And again, he's all in makeup. He has not been seen without his makeup on in all 4 of his movies that he's done. All 4 of the major release movies that he's done. I don't think he wants to be a Doug Jones. Oh, we love Doug Jones or Andy Serkis. Look how long it took Andy Serkis to actually get in front of a camera. He'd been doing nothing.
I seem to remember reading that there are plans for there to be a 4th Terrifier, specifically because Damien Leone didn't want to make another 2.5 hour slasher, which I can certainly get behind. And I haven't read much of David Howard Thornton's opinion on it, but I know Damien Leone has said that he does want to have an ending to Art's story. He doesn't want to see Art become like one of those slashers who 13 chapters down the road is just kind of forgotten about. He wants him to like go out on terms that are befitting an iconic character, which I love that idea.
Yeah.
I do too. I do too. It's funny. See, people forget about people always look at the character, and they sometimes I feel like they forget they forget the actor underneath all that makeup. Like like I watched a movie last year called Lion Girl. Saw that come out. It's a science fiction horror film that came out, and it's based on an anime book, and it was fantastic. I loved it. What I really loved about the movie more than anything else, I mean, Tori Griffith is absolutely stunner of a leading lady, and the action was great. I mean, it was fantastic. What I really got jazzed about, what I was really psyched about, was Derek Mears got to play the bad guy without makeup. Oh, I cannot tell you, as a horror fan, how happy I was for him that he got to play the bad guy with himself. Here I am, I'm a bad guy. It's my face. I mean, I'm overjoyed, because it's like you never see it. You never get to see it. People now, they forget, until you remind them that Robert Englund, he did other roles other than Freddy. I mean, and I think that Robert Englund it went to the point where he was taking anything
Yeah.
other than Freddy
Yeah.
to show people that, look, I have a face.
Yeah, it's
I'm a
funny because if you watch the original V series, Robert
right.
Englund's in that, and he plays like a goofy guy, and it's just not what you would think of after
No,
Freddy.
his character Willie was very, very sweet. I mean, and
Yeah,
that in itself is exactly why Nightmare on Elm Street worked, because at that time that's what he was known for, playing Willie. And when we did
yeah,
see him with Freddy, it was like lights out, because this is not who we expected. We expected Willie, and oh,
yeah,
you got the Willies is what you got, because that was he was great. But now,
Yeah.
now they've been doing those things for so long that that's how people identify them. They forget that they have a face behind all that makeup. And I
yeah,
see for David Thornton Howard, I think I see him, like I said, I see him wanting to be seen. Like, I want to do an action movie. I want to do a comedy. I don't want to be in makeup for my whole entire career.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can. Doug Jones is another one that got completely hammered. A lot of his roles that he does, he gets, he has people dubbing voices over him, and he
yeah.
never gets a chance to show his off his
Hellboy.
face. And you can't help it when you see him. It just takes the joy away, because you feel sorry for him. If you're a fan of his work, you feel sorry for him, because it's like, let him go, let him be in front of the camera. Andy Serkis, 13 going on 30, absolutely wonderful.
Mm.
Perfect. That was great. One of my favorite moments ever in a movie on any genre, with him and Jennifer Garner. It's like, holy cow, who would ever saw that? Who saw that coming? Um, so so you guys decided you talk about a movie. I mean, do you tell each other before you start filming? Uh, before, when you do your pre-show, prep, do you tell each other what movie you're going to bring to the party, or do you actually wait until you start recording, then drop it for the other one to know?
We picked the movies out ahead of time. We picked them out together and sort of plan which movies are going to go in which episode
Yeah.
together, and then we both make sure that we watch the movie twice,
At least twice. Yeah.
Yeah, once where we can just get the pure feeling of it, and then once where we can jot down notes and figure out, just get ideas for what we want to talk about. And then initially, I don't know if we were like, we kind of try to put like a little bit of a theme into things, but it's not necessarily super important.
Just ones that we think go good together for some arbitrary reason.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's one that'll be coming out later that is House of a Thousand Corpses and Prince of Darkness, and we did that because one is a Rob Zombie movie, the other one features Alice Cooper, and we were getting ready to go see Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper, and so we were like, this will be fun. And then
Barbarian and Possession is because they're both like about bad relationships, kind of.
bad relationships or ignoring like the shitty behavior of somebody around you. Yeah, it's kind of funny because we're about to have 2 episodes in a row where both of the movies are from the same series. We're going to have Terrifier and Terrifier 2 next week, and then the month after that, it's going to be X and Pearl, which that one was very fun to record. And I feel like that might have sounded sarcastic. It was not. We had so much fun recording it that after I sat down and started to take a look at what I was gonna have to edit, I was like, oh God, there's like 3 hours of us talking about these 2 movies, and I have to get we have to get this down to like a manageable, enjoyable podcast, and I just don't know how we're gonna do that. I think part of that is.
What movie did you like? Did you like Pearl more than you like? Did you like X?
You like X more. I like Pearl more.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny thing. X ended up being like, I think X is kind of my favorite movie right now.
Everybody was all over Mia Goth in that movie, but man,
she's amazing.
She is amazing, but I tell you who I really thought was amazing too was Scott Cuddy, the guy who played King Cuddy, I guess is his name, is music.
Kid Cudi.
He was really good. And then how about Brittany Snow?
Yeah, she was great too.
Completely against character. I mean, way against, because everything that Brittany Snow has done has always been sort of. I mean, she does action movies. She's done action movies. She was great in a movie called Hangman. That was a keeper right there. But her, look at her. But most of her movies that she's done, her TV shows. I mean, Brittany Snow. I mean, think about it. Yeah, she does a lot of snowy parts. A lot of innocent parts, a lot of good girl parts. And then when you see her, like nude, she smokes in the movie. She curses in the movie. You're sitting there going like, I have never seen that side of her before in any movie I've seen with her, and it just blew me away.
I mean, really, everybody in that movie nails their parts.
It's all likable characters, which is rare for a slasher movie.
Yeah, and they're all well executed, and the directing is really well done. I do find myself kind of surprised. I found myself surprised after watching it for the 3rd time and being like, I kind of want to watch it again, and then realizing that this has become one of my favorite movies because everything is excellent. The film score that Tyler Bates and Chelsea Wolfe do together is just magnificent. And there's specific things we actually will be talking. We talk about in the podcast about like why I think that score is a masterpiece of film music. But like nobody botched a moment of their acting, in my opinion. And there was just really clearly a great vision that went into that movie. And I love that it's supposed to be about filmmaking, but at the same time, it's not like, and it is very much about filmmaking, but it's not like, shoving you behind the viewfinder and being like, this is how we edit a film, Yeah. It's just excellent. Also, perfect combination of highbrow filmmaking and absolute sleaze. Love that.
I think the only problem I had with that movie, the first movie, was one, it was way overhyped. It's a good movie. It's a good movie, but it's not bringing anything new to the party. And I mean, to be brutally honest, as far as terms of slasher goes, it's not bringing anything new to the party. It did what it did really, really well. The only part I had, because I like Ty West. To me, when people bring up Ty West, I tell them to go see The Innkeepers. You want to see it?
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
You want to see it?
I actually didn't know that was him.
Yeah.
Have you seen?
Also,
which one?
Have you seen The Innkeepers, Jess?
Yeah, I've seen it a bunch of times.
Yeah. She showed it to me.
That's another thing where Ty West is really good with like character interactions. Like all the people seem like real. So in the Innkeepers, it's mostly what has it going is the two's relationship.
I like that, and the thing that to me, I wish he would have done a little bit more with X was I thought the pacing was really it really lacked, and that and I think that's part of most slasher movies. It's a 90-minute movie, and 90 whatever, and they save it all for the last third of the movie, and there's really
Mm.
nothing going on for the first two thirds. And for me, the movie really dragged because it's like because you already know that it's going to be all every minute that goes by and nobody's dying on camera, you just know that it's going to be rushed because we got to kill six people and all in 20 minutes, or 25 minutes or 30 minutes, and that's a lot. That's a lot. And and that's exactly what happened. It got everything, all the kills got crushed in the last third. It's all right. They did it in the first. They did it with Friday the 13th too. Same problem. Same problem. The first hour first hour, not very much happens at all. But the last 30 minutes, everything happens, and it sort of becomes a little overwhelming. It's like it's by the time you get adjusted to one person getting it, there's another one and another one. And I
Yeah.
saw something in reverse that you mentioned too. Your comment how they're all likable characters. I saw a movie called American Scarecrow, and the director did this. This is what he did with this movie. He made everybody likable. Everybody. They were likable all the way up. I mean, they were. You're sitting there watching. You're sitting there watching this movie, and going like, when's the killing going to start and who's going to die first, because they're all nice people. You don't want to see
Yeah.
anybody like in Friday the 13th remake. Oh yeah, we wanted that guy to die in the worst way. We're all rooting for that guy just to buy the farm. But here we are in American Scarecrow, and I'm watching it and going like, they haven't established any asshole yet. They're all really nice people. So they had to come up at the very last minute to make two of the people sort of like queasy. But by that time, you invested in the movie, you're not believing it. You're not
Yeah.
believing that these guys are assholes. They're good guys, but you're gonna kill them off anyway. And then it sort of just takes you out of the movie a little bit.
Well, you
You got
feel it more if you like them and then they die.
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's how I am. I if there's a good likable character and when they die, I feel that as a
Yeah.
moviegoer. I
Yeah.
feel it. I'm not like I said, I'm not desensitized at all to that. When there's somebody dies, I'll tell you another one, and people have heard me talk about this because I still can't get over it. But we did a retrospective on Friday the 13th series, and then in the third movie, it shows Jason, and he kills this girl, but the girl before had just got done telling her boyfriend that she's pregnant, and then when Michael
Mm.
kills her, that kill was like way out of there. It was like that's terrible. That's
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean,
Well, I think there's two. I think there's two really valid approaches to horror movies. Obviously, there's many approaches, but the two main ones are you either need likable characters that you feel for and you don't want to die, and that's when you are hit with that tension and that the actual movies that can make you feel scared and things like that. But then there's also others like House of a Thousand Corpses, where all the characters are absolutely awful and you cannot wait for the killer to get them.
Yeah.
And it's I think it is a lot of the time the difference between a movie that really like actually scares you and a movie that's just a fun thrill.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Fish boy!
There's movies where, look at the Saw series. I mean, everybody's sitting there. Nobody really cares about the characters in Saw. They just waiting for those traps to get sprung. And me and Jen in the chat, we were talking a little bit about that, about Saw. That's why I got away from that, because after the third one, it seemed like that was the only thing people were really interested in, was talking about the traps and less about the characters.
Yeah.
The first three movies, especially the first two, were all character driven. I mean, they were thoroughly character driven, great mystery, great, character development, and it was just fantastic.
You don't
The
even
third
see
one,
a lot of the deaths in the first one.
Yeah.
no, no. I mean, I think it took Chris Rock, when he brought back Spyro, to bring back the characterizations of the films. Like, hey, these are real people in real situations, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
he started caring for the people again. Even the guy who was the bad guy, you liked him. You're sitting there going like, okay, so what's his game plan? What's he up to? Why is he doing this? Now I don't know if we'll ever find that out, but I like the character. I
I
like
feel
him.
like they've abandoned that
Yeah,
one,
I'm pretty sure.
which is too bad, because I feel very much the same way. Spiral was sort of the first one that had me. It didn't have me nearly as invested as like the first Saw, but it was the first one after that that had me really invested in the characters.
I haven't seen Spiral yet.
It's worth a watch.
Yeah.
It's not,
It's been a lower on my priority list because so many people don't like it.
yeah.
Including our friend Charles, who just walked in and says Spiral sucks so much. That's not true, Charles. That's not true.
I'll check it out.
We've got a range of opinions here.
Personally, I thought the third one sucked so much because they killed Dina Meyer, and I was like, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah, I never got into. It's really annoying. I don't know why I keep watching those movies, because I legitimately have not liked any of them after the second one.
I like the third one.
And even the second one I thought paled in comparison to the first.
Yeah.
And yet for some reason I keep coming back and being like, maybe somebody will recapture that magic.
I made it to the 7th and then was like, okay, I'm out.
I personally like the second one better than the first one. I thought the second one, the reveal at the end was just the first one was a mind blower too, but the second one, that was really mind blowing. I mean, knowing that everybody had to go through everything, and to find out that you're so much closer than you ever expected you'd be. It was just such a screw. It was such a crazy twist.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this. I love the ending of this. I love the ending of the second one. It was just amazing. Shout out to Costas Mandalore. That's right. Can the planets align for me to meet him someday? Costas is great. And Charles says the second one is the best. See, then we're agreeing with that. I do think the second one is the best as well. Costas Mandalore is he's there's 2 movies that he's done that I highly recommend if you're looking for some movies to watch. It's called The Debt Collector and then The Debt Collectors. Both movies with Costas Mandalore and Scott Adkins. Very, very fun movie. Second one might be a little weird to watch. After you watch the first one, you'll understand when you see it. But he is fantastic in that movie. He's fun to watch.
These are action movies or horror movies?
No, these are action adventure movies.
Okay, all
right. But he's really good in it. He's really good. Wow, we have hit our time. So this flew by super fast, really fast. So let's talk a little bit about the next 2 episodes you guys are doing. What are the two episodes coming up that you are working on or that are not in the can? You mentioned yeah.
Oh, that are not in the can, like not out, or
Yeah, the next one's coming.
Okay, yeah. So next week on Thursday, our episode on Terrifier and Terrifier 2 will be coming out. I think the theme there is pretty obvious, Terrifier. And that is, in my opinion, a pretty fun episode, but I'm not exactly impartial. So, but it was one that we had fun making. And then you want to tell about the next one after that?
I don't. When did we decide to release it?
Oh, it's X and Pearl after that.
No, I know, but I don't know if we decided on a day.
Oh, for X and Pearl?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's going to be the first Thursday of July.
Okay. So you do like one
Yes,
show a month? Do you do one show per month or one every 3 weeks or?
right now it's one per month.
And then we hope to build up to more.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. X and Pearl was a fun one that was also the. I don't want to say we threw it together because we didn't, but when we found out that the release date for Maxine was going to be right at, like, not right at the beginning of July, but near, we were like, oh, we should do X and Pearl and get that out right before
Yep.
Maxine. And there's a few reasons to do that. One is, the obvious marketability and all of that. But what I was really thinking of when we were talking about it was there's so many movies where when I come to the sequel, I vaguely remember what happened in the first few, but I always really want somebody to be able to give me a good recap, and so I'll go on YouTube and go looking for recaps, and it's really annoying how rarely I can find like a solid one that so I was like, hey, this will be fun to do. This can be like our recap of the first two movies. So that was the logic there, and also gave me a good reason to watch both of them, and then just fall in love with X all over again.
No, I can understand that. It's going to be a lot of fun listening to it. Like I said, I listened to the Talk to Me and When Evil Lurks episode. We're gonna be covering the When Evil Lurks in the IFC show in June. We're gonna cover that.
Nice.
Um, and so I enjoyed listening to that, even though the outcome wasn't what I thought it would be, but I still dug it. And I hope you guys do more. If you guys ever decide that you ever want to host a guest to come in and bring a movie to party with, just let me know. Me and the Cheetah. We'll be happy to travel out there and hang out with you. And
Nice.
Yeah,
we'll come out there and hang out. We got plenty of gems over here just waiting to pounce on people.
All right. Yeah. We'll definitely do that.
Well, I don't know about the Cheetah. Mr. Brody Lee hasn't been really amenable to other cats coming around.
Yeah, I suppose that's one thing when you own a cheetah, though. You can't like that's the first thing they told me when I got him was like, he's not a domestic cat. You can't have him around. You can't have him around regular cat. Why not? He's a cat. Well, he's part cheetah, and he's okay. Sorry. Yeah, and I got the scars to prove it too. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Now, Charles is sitting there. Charles is sitting there. The new ISC movie sucked. He didn't like. He did not like. In a violent nature. Dropped a review tonight. I'm sure Charles will change his tune once he sees the coffee table. That's what I wait for him to see. I wanted him to see the coffee table, then come back with a review on that. I'm sure that would be an eye opener. I hope you guys cover that movie as well.
I'm definitely going to check it out.
Yeah,
it's on Cinephobia. Yeah. You can get physical copies. It's on sale for physical copies. You can get it from Cinephobia releasing. Highly recommend it. It's going to be your movie of the year. You heard it here first. All right, boys and girls, we're going to wrap it up for tonight. I want to thank our guests, Jess and Glenn, from the Streaming Scream. Streaming Scream. That's a tongue twister. For coming out, hanging out with us today already. I can already tell you guys right now, I'm going to have you guys come back because this absolutely flew. I feel like we could talk all night. I had a lot of fun, and just a great show. And next week, we'll be back. We'll be back next week, and we will be talking with artist Angela Williams from the Morbid Heart Designs. She'll be here talking with us, catching us up on her, plus creating some art live during the live stream. On Wednesday the 7th, we have film director Samuel Shu. I hope I'm not killing this. Schmucker. Samuel Schmucker will be here. His new film is Friday the 13th. Jason in Indianapolis. a Friday the 13th tribute. Different
Ah,
title.
okay.
Not generally a Friday the 13th fan film, but a tribute film. So, and he's got an all-star cast with that, including C.J. Graham and Beatrice Poppel, Mel Heflin, and Heather Harlow. So he'll be here on Wednesday. Thursday, we'll be talking with actress Sherry Severs. She'll be here at 8 o'clock. And then next Friday, on the 7th of June, we'll be talking with actress Jenna Dulat from Sweet Killing Machine. And she is going to be a pistol, I guarantee it. Thank you to the chat for coming out. All the newcomers, thank you so much. If you haven't subbed to the channel, please consider subbing to us. Let us know that you like what we're doing. Drop a comment down below, and we will see you. Next Tuesday. Oh yeah. One other thing, right? What am I forgetting here? Oh, the midnight hour is at 10:15, and it's on Mr. Bones' channel. He didn't come by today, but just type in Mr. Bones Midnight Hour, and you'll be taken to his channel. And that's where I'll be at 10:15. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. You guys stay right there for a minute, and everybody else, have a great night.
Sure. Thanks for coming out, everyone.